Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Mishal Saeed, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're absolutely thrilled to have Victoria Mosley-Dials, the founder and principal consultant of Opex Advantage, joining us. Victoria brings her expertise in psychology and operational excellence to empower businesses with streamlined processes and enhanced stakeholder experiences. Known for her innovative approach to fostering company cultures that drive innovation, she's transforming how organizations achieve sustainable success. We'll explore her inspiring journey, how Opex Advantage is reshaping business operations, and really her vision for scaling this dynamic firm. So let's dive in. Victoria, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you for the great introduction.
I was absolutely thrilled going through the research with my team. And, I'm going to pass the mic over to you and you can tell us a little bit more about really what got you started and what you're doing. So take us back to the beginning. What specific problem or challenge within operational excellence or the customer experience landscape inspired you to actually start Opex Advantage?
Really, it was customer experience. The main thing that I noticed was the disengagement between brand promise and delivery for most businesses. The customer experience part is that if the delivery does not match the promise, then it's a bad experience, very simply. You want the person, it should be easy
Yeah.
to have an interaction with the business. There should not be any unexpected surprises. There shouldn't be an undue pressure on your time or your stress or
Yeah.
anything like that. So that was what got me started, thinking about that and thinking about how I could integrate that with my past experiences.
I love that. I love that. Now, walk us through the nuts and bolts for our listeners, even potential clients tuning in. What is the core offer here with your emphasis on the customer experience side of things? Because I know there's process optimization, there's consulting with customer experience, change management. What is the core offer and service that you offer, and how do you structure it for some of the clients that you work with?
The core offering is really consulting on customer-focused process improvement. What we do is we go in, we look at where they are, where they want to be, and how we can help them get there. That's very simply put, but that's basically what the process is. We have been in business for about 2 years, and our process has been evolving. I started with customer experience because that was obviously a strength.
Yeah.
And what I found was that many businesses thought of customer experience as fluff,
Yeah.
or they thought that it was customer support. And they felt that they already had a customer support team, so they didn't need to bring in a consultant.
Yeah.
So that wasn't getting me in the door. Then I thought, okay, my background includes process improvement, so I'll add that in. And I think that worked a little better, but there still wasn't a demand because there's still an expectation that process improvement is all cost cutting and efficiency. And it really shouldn't be that. It should be both efficiency and effectiveness and engagement with employees and customers, as you can see on my logo.
Yeah.
What we did when we started to do process improvement was to see that there was still that disconnect that we hadn't managed to deal with between operations and marketing. And so we changed the offering to incorporate that integration and the cross-functional collaboration. I had done some market research and I talked with executives in 18 industries. And what I found was that the most important human-centered thing that they had problems with was cross-functional collaboration. That they had a lot of situations where their teams were operating in siloed ways of working, and that because of that, There was rework, there was miscommunication, there were delays. Of
Yeah.
course, all of that affected their budgets.
Mm,
But what happened once I had gotten to that point, a
mm,
very important thing happened was that I went through a program at Johns Hopkins Carey School of Business, and it was called Community Consulting Lab. It
mm,
had an almost exclusive focus on financials
mm,
and establishing professional services businesses,
mm.
professional service relationships, specifically with your banker, for example. But the main focus was on financials. And one of the projects that we had to do was to determine what would be required to make your business a $1 million business.
Mm.
And that was doing the financial projections that would allow you to determine what revenue you wanted, what profit you wanted, how you would need to staff, what tools you would need to support that, those kinds of things. And I realized immediately that was the missing link in my offer. So I
Wow.
went back and I integrated that. So now there are four pillars of what we call practical profitability is financials, marketing, operations, and customer experience.
I love that. Now, in terms of what a typical client engagement would look like, right? Really covering the four core pillars of really practical profitability and on the customer experience side, what does that look like? Is it more ongoing consulting? Is it also one-on-one? Is it more group style in that sense? How is a lot of your work packaged when, a client does approach you and
Mhm.
want to work with you?
Yeah, the core offering is still consulting.
Mhm.
It's either project-based or retainer-based.
Okay.
We also do training workshops and training. The workshops are fixed fee. The training depends on the size of the team. We also do product selection, evaluation, and implementation, depending on the tool. And we do fractional customer experience officer when that's appropriate. But as I said, the core offering is still the consulting. We
Mhm.
offer three basic packages, which we call Pulse, Probe, and Partnership. And
Mhm.
Pulse is a very quick 6-day engagement. Probe is a 6-week engagement, and Partnership is a 6-month engagement. And they
Mhm.
all do parts of the same thing. It really varies in terms of the amount of detail and the length of the engagement, but they're all very similar. In the first one, you just get a plan for how you're going to implement one or two high impact interventions that are not going to cause big disruptions in your business flow.
Okay, got it. So it sounds like that's a little bit more of a self implementation done with you type of approach when it comes to really understanding, okay, what are going to be some of those mechanisms we can put in place to improve some of the efficiency on that side with an organization.
Well, yeah, it's the least integrated or interactive offering. The ideal offering for us is the probe, which allows us to actually go in and work collaboratively with the team,
Yeah.
help them to improve their collaboration, help them to trace the customer experience actually, to do the complete customer journey and look at what is happening internally that either supports or doesn't support that customer journey.
Yeah.
Then we follow that up. Depending on how much information we've been able to obtain, sometimes we can get to a small implementation.
Mm.
And then the partnership allows us to embed the practical profitability framework within the core offerings of the company.
Yeah, I love the way that you've pretty much tiered out a lot of what you're doing on the offering side, giving everyone sort of those options. And from a productization standpoint, it sounds like you really dialed in how to use a lot of standardization when it comes to really the delivery, the program and how success can be achieved for some of the clients you work
Mhm.
with. Now,
Fortunately, that's one of the things we're still working on.
in like what way?
In terms of putting together to systematize everything the way we would tell our clients to do it. The saying, what is it, the cobbler's children have no shoes. That
Right.
means that we have all of the systems in place for our customers, but we're still working on them for our particular implementation. We're changing things. I just got through, for example, changing my accounting system in my CRM because they were no longer meeting my needs.
Yeah.
And so, because I'm still working on that, there is, I don't have the data that I would normally have because the accounting system and the CRM are not completely implemented yet, but they
Yeah.
will be.
Yeah, no, and I love the fact that you mentioned that, right? Because, that's part of being an entrepreneur is some solving and getting to that next step, right? So that you can progress and get to that next growth phase. What are in place? I'd love to hear your thoughts on like resolving that, new ideas on offer evolution, systemization. What are you exploring on that front?
Exploring in terms of what was that?
Yeah, in terms of like, some of the systemization gaps that you mentioned, like what are you putting in place from like an implementation standpoint to get to that next level of growth?
Oh, okay. One of the things that I'm actually very proud of, uh, even though it's minute, is
Mm,
that I upgraded my chart of accounts.
okay.
And that will allow me to do more precise reporting of the financial activity in my business.
Mm,
And I did that based on the mistakes that I had made in the first implementation. And I
mm,
understood after running the business for a while what was the information I really needed to make decisions. And so
mm,
that was important.
mm.
The next thing was trying to build out a consistent lead gen format. I'm still relying mainly on referrals, and I need to improve lead generation so that I'm not relying completely on referrals.
Yeah. When did you realize that was like a bottleneck for you in terms of having or not having like that lead engine where it is predictable and sticking with referrals? When did that occur to you in your journey as an entrepreneur?
It occurred when I did not have any clients
Mm,
and I didn't have a pipeline and I was running out of money.
yeah. Yeah.
Because I was bootstrapping, and even though I had another income, I wasn't able, I had a shortfall basically.
Okay.
And I was making a decision as to whether I wanted to give up.
Yeah.
And so I started looking for a full-time job. I did
Yeah.
not find anything that allowed me to test and refine my business idea.
Yeah.
So I started exploring the entrepreneurial possibilities.
Mm,
During that time, though, I did find a part-time remote position that had nothing to do with process improvement,
right.
uh, and wasn't at anywhere near my current rate,
Mm,
but it did allow me to make up the shortfall and at the same time have the time I needed to put into the business.
mm. On the acquisition front, because you mentioned, with referrals, going to assume that's like the primary channel right now, right? Clients. What are you specifically putting in place for acquisition when it comes to getting predictable lead gen? Are you looking into paid ads, anything on the cold outreach front, automation? How are you navigating that? What does that next step look like for you?
Yeah, the next step is a number of different things that I haven't actually done,
Yeah.
but they're on the list.
Mm.
Unfortunately, bandwidth is also a big problem.
Yeah.
In terms of changing my lead generation situation, I have been trying to increase my visibility on LinkedIn. The one team member I have is a part-time social media person and graphic designer.
Mm.
And she's been doing a great job that I'm glad that I could delegate that because if I had to do it, it would be a horrible mess. It's not something that I'm good at, and it's not something I like doing. But in addition to doing that, what I've also started to think about doing is doing some very detailed research on the
Mm.
companies in my area
Okay.
and going in and offering them a day in the life of
Mm,
audit
mm,
that would cover customer journey or business operations.
mm.
And I think that having a low risk offering would allow them to have an opportunity to figure out what it's like to work with me. And
Yeah,
I'd have the opportunity to figure out what it's like to work with them and whether there was alignment.
yeah.
Excuse me. The other thing that I'm thinking about, and again, I haven't done it, it's still in the works,
Mm,
is trying to establish some partnerships with fractional CFOs and accountants and web designers so that I can look at the back end after they've changed the front end, things like that.
mm.
So I'm hoping that will improve so that I don't have to rely totally on referrals. But those
Yeah,
are the kinds of things I'm looking at. I did also think about doing ads,
yeah.
but you have to have your message
Mm,
completely in line before you start doing ads, or else you're just wasting money.
yeah,
One of the things that I found is that my message continues to evolve. I guess that's natural, but one of the things that I found in particular was that my message was not targeting my audience.
yeah,
So I just went through a period of revamping my website so that it actually calls out that I work with founders
yeah,
and operations executives and marketing executives.
yeah.
And I think having a refined message
Mm,
and having it reveal in the website exactly who I target
mm,
will be helpful. And I still need to put together some marketing materials.
yeah,
But I thought it was doing the website first is easiest because you can make the changes so quickly. If you have print material that you're going to mail out,
yeah,
that can become dated really quickly.
yeah,
And I haven't automated my onboarding process yet, so that's dependent on the CRM.
yeah, yeah, 100%. On the messaging side, I think that's such an important thing that you brought up, especially because a lot of founders, they jump into paid ads right away without really defining exactly what that scope of work is going to look like, really what they're looking to solve for the audience that they're reaching out to. So I thought that was such a great point that you brought up. Do you feel like as you're looking at scaling and you're building systems in place, like bringing a CRM, figuring out things with accounting, that you may need some help on the marketing side, bringing in experts or like ideas in place to refine the messaging before you can kickstart things on the paid ad side? Like what?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I have been considering is bringing in a fractional marketing
Yeah,
person,
yeah,
so that they could help with the messaging and make sure that in addition to walking the walk, I am talking the talk,
yeah, yeah,
which I don't think I'm currently doing. I know how to do the work, but I don't know how to talk about the work.
yeah. Yeah, just getting a really the premise of really what you do out there so that you can focus on what you
Mhm.
love, right? On that front, with the sales process, what does that look like for you right now? Are you just doing all the sales calls? Do you have like a team in place handling the conversations? Is just Victoria right now leading all those discovery sessions? How is all of that structured?
Oh my, I am it.
Okay, love it.
Except for the social media person, I am business development, I'm delivery, I'm admin,
Yeah,
I'm all of it.
yeah,
And that a founder-centric approach is definitely not working. It is where I am in the business, though. It requires that I have some more clients before I start doing those kinds of things. I'm
yeah.
working with one client right now
Mm,
and I'm very happy with that relationship. What I'm doing is using AI and automation to improve a
mm,
client intake system.
mm.
And it's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that go back to the original question you asked me because I got off the track.
Yeah, so we have the Victoria show right now, basically wearing all the hats, running everything in the and one thing I like to talk a little bit about is
Oh,
how
I knew. You asked me about my sales process.
yeah, I want to learn about the sales process and then I'll go on to the next one. Yeah. What
Okay, yeah. With my sales process, it's basically responding to inquiries, either a response on the website or a LinkedIn response or something like that. Responding to inquiries with a one pager describing Opex Advantage and our capabilities, what we do, who we are, talking about practical profitability. Hard to get on one page, but I have done it. You have to leave a lot off,
yeah.
surprisingly, and I tend to be long-winded, so it's
Mhm.
hard. The social media person is actually doing a great job of editing my long-winded statements. Thank goodness. But with the sales process, if they do the follow-up with the capability statement, there's a link to schedule a discovery call. If they
Okay.
schedule the discovery call,
Mhm.
then we talk about like where they are, where they want to be, what their urgency is.
Mhm.
If we get past that point and they're qualified and we're aligned, then I do a sort of a proposal meeting to figure out before we do the written proposal what they want and what we can provide and what the project plan would look like, what the deliverables might look like. If we get past that, then I do a written proposal walkthrough.
Okay.
And if that goes successfully, then we win the business. If there's a negotiation, we do that.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work and we lose the business, then we just follow up with them periodically to let them know we still exist.
Yeah. Do you enjoy the sales calls? Do you enjoy sales? And I like to ask every founder on here because it's oftentimes one of the hardest things to execute on within a business.
I'm getting to like it more.
Okay.
I started out hating it,
Mm.
absolutely hating it.
Yeah.
But just like networking, I think I'm getting a better handle on it because I think more about getting information about the other person and their business. When I'm focusing on what I want to say about myself or
Yeah.
about my business, that becomes difficult. But as soon as I switch into sort of research mode, asking them the questions and trying to figure out what the next question should be in response to what they've actually said, it
Yeah.
gets easier. So sales is still not my favorite thing to do, but I'm getting through
You-
it.
You're through it and
I would very much like to hire a business developer though.
yeah, just to help with that front end and then you can focus more on like, hey, working with a client who knows that, hey, this is actually going to happen. They're qualified and they're more
Right.
open in
Yeah,
that sense. Yeah.
exactly.
I love that. I'm more on the operator side of things. Now, with everything that you've started and accomplished so far, what are some of your goals over the next 6 to 12 months with really growing the business? Paint that picture for us. Do you have any like revenue targets, performance milestones you're looking ahead?
Right, yeah, I would guess I did as part of the Cary Business School program, the Community Consulting Lab. That exercise was to build a $1 million business. So I still have that in the back of my mind.
Oh,
Far from it, but it's still there. What I'm looking at immediately is, let's say, around 120K, mainly because that would cover my prior pre-entrepreneurial salary. And it would also allow me to begin to think about adding an admin at least. I think that is realistic because I can only support 1 to 2 clients as an individual person.
yeah.
The next step would be to hire another consultant, maybe a business developer. I would love one, as I already said, and an admin. And I would think at that point I could do maybe 4 to 6 clients
Mm.
and begin to start to build out the business. still automating some of the processes, setting up templates and things so that it's repeatable. And that's where I am right now in terms of the targets. It's automating the proposal process, creating templates and checklists and dashboards so I don't have to do that every time.
Yeah. Focusing on the things you love as like a CEO of your business then, right? Once you have all those things in place. Now, I want to ask a little bit about how you see the consulting industry evolving in the coming years because a lot of your focus is, again, operational excellence and customer experience. How is Opex Advantage like positioning itself for that type of future?
I think the main thing that we do is that we're already positioned as an integrator, that we're not just an operations consultant, that we do look at a broad spectrum of things that are contributing either to the success or to the failure of the business. So I think that is a key differentiator that we do the financials, we do the operations, we do the collaboration with marketing, and we focus on customer experience. And I think that we're moving into AI and automation. I think that will serve us well. I think that as we go forward, there will be additional opportunities, but I think that we have the approach that we take of starting with a low risk interaction with a potential client allows us to adjust to their need, and doing the diagnostic also helps.
Yeah.
So I think that mainly the positioning as an integrator will be helpful to us in the future.
Yeah, no, I love that. Last question as we're wrapping up and we're in the lightning round. For the listeners, entrepreneurs, founders that are looking to follow in your footsteps, starting a business, starting a venture, what's like the best piece of advice you would give to them, about scaling and kind of taking that leap of faith?
I think the best information I would give them, the recommendation I would give them would be to do your financial projections first.
Yeah.
You can't really make decisions in isolation unless you're facing reality. If I had done my projections first and not wait for the business acceleration program, if I had done my projections first, I am not sure that I would have started my business at the time that I did.
Mhm.
I would have continued working, so I had a financial basis that was stronger.
Yeah.
Uh, the build it, they will come does not work, which everyone tells you, but you always think that your business will be different. And so if I had known how long it was going to take to really begin to have customers, I would have to have clients. I would have paid attention to my financials, but I think it's more important that you do that you figure out what revenue you want, that you figure out what profits you want, and that you figure out what it's going to take to get there and make
Yeah.
decisions based on reality.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. And careful planning, right? That's really the thematic of it because you said it best. Everyone has their own notion that my business is going to be successful. What I do is going to work. But thinking
Mm-hmm.
and being very strategic, what that approach is going to look like, not necessarily even quitting your job right away and taking that next step, having that preparation, right?
Yeah.
I love that. On that note, that wraps up an inspiring episode of Founders Future. Victoria, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your journey thus far within the entrepreneurial landscape and your emphasis on customer experience and really creating a lot of that excellence within organization. We're excited to see that runway into the next half of 2025 and all the great things that you're going to do there and hopefully have you back in 6 months to see your progress as you got to unlock that next level of growth. To our listeners, if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you would like to get in touch with Victoria and learn a little bit more about the work she's doing over at Opex Advantage, we will link her LinkedIn profile in the summary below and her website. Victoria, if you can share with us the best way to reach out as well outside of LinkedIn, do you have any other platforms in terms of the communication, the best way to reach out?
I'm not. I'm still working on social media. As I said, it was not my favorite thing to do. Hopefully, the easiest way is to send email to Victoria at
Perfect.
opexadvantage.com.
Love Love that. We'll link that as well in the summary. And to our listeners, if you would like some more resources and insights, you can visit us over at closers.io. We're dedicated to helping businesses scale their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing and sales systems. Until then, everyone, keep climbing, and we'll see you all on the next one. Victoria, it was a pleasure having you on.